to see him in this movie, it was cool.
Kind of
he's
unexpected, right?
He's like the cabbie, and he really wants to be like a part of.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Here we are again. It's October 7th, and today on the channel we're doing Constantine. Constantine is a DC comic movie, and this is a really, really awesome movie because it stars one of the greatest people alive, Keanu Reeves. Most people know him from movies like The Matrix or The Devil's Advocate or
John Wick.
John
That's
Wick.
the Baba Yaga.
The Baba Yaga. Yeah. Or, he's been in a lot of other sci-fi movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still. And he's just been like, he was in Speed, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I remember Speed with Sandra Bullock. He's also been in video games as of recently. Cyberpunk is like one of his big ones.
He is trending hard right now.
He's the most humble actor on the planet.
That too. He is a very, very humbled, and he has been announced as Shadow the Hedgehog for the Sonic movie. So he's also playing, in that video game character as well. And with the new Sonic game coming out, they are actually recording lines for him as Shadow the Hedgehog in the game as well. So he's everywhere.
Very, very good stuff.
He's
good that Keanu's he's just a straight up awesome actor.
I think he was voted like the nicest actor of all time in an article that I was reading. So I was like,
he's so humble too. He's like a normal person and he doesn't even act like a celebrity. He's just like, okay, I'm famous, whatever. I'm just gonna be.
He's in a band that's got amazing music. If you like rock, like it's really awesome. He, is a bike rider. He does a lot of motorcycle work with a lot of stunt actors. Like he's so amazing. So
I heard he used to be an avid hockey player too. Found out about that on Michael Rosenbaum's show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. So we watched Constantine, and this movie, it's one of my favorite comic book movies, and there's been heavy rumors of a sequel being in the works for a while now. So before that actually gets officialized and is confirmed, I wanted to cover this at some point, and what better way to do it in our 31 days of Halloween, especially just because it deals with such a gothic horror element. Constantine, the movie, is so much different than the character in the comic, because in the comics he's like an Irish redhead blonde guy, and it's very much to deal with a lot more magic, but it's still in like Catholicism and stuff, still heaven, hell, all that jazz. But in the movie, it's definitely portrayed a lot more like grounded, as if this character existed in our world for real, and that's what we get with this movie. Was this the first time you've seen this movie?
Yeah, this is the first time I actually watched this movie. I've heard about this movie, but I just never had a chance to watch it.
Yeah. So before we get your take on this movie, I want to just remind everybody, please, if you like our videos and you're doing, supporting the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. You can also go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam. Join one of our 3 tiers over there. Help donate to the show. It's so helpful. So please do that. But yeah, now continuing, what do you think? What was your experience with this?
This movie, I thought it was really good in terms of the shot selection, like with the mirror in the beginning, with I think that's a demon or something that they're trying to exorcise out of this Asian woman's daughter. And I thought that shot selection was cool, just the way it was presented. I really liked Shia LaBeouf a little bit in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's the first time I've seen Shia LaBeouf. I mean, seen him in other movies, obviously, but to see him in this movie, it was cool.
Kind
like,
of unexpected, right?
He's like the cabbie, and he really wants to be like a part of this character's life. You know what I mean? And it's cool that he just drives around. And there's little comedic elements between him and Keanu in this movie, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what were your what were your cons for this movie? Did you have any cons? Or
The cons maybe would be, uh, I don't know, the pacing. There's kind of like pacing issues with this movie, like
yeah,
with the story. You get some story, some background on him, but really, I don't think you got enough. It kind of it jumps with Gabriel, which is played by, I always say her name wrong. It's Tilda what?
Tilda Swinton.
Swinton. Yeah, Tilda Swinton. And it's kind of like, we know you get some history about this character. Apparently you get that through a little bit through the movie, but like in the middle of it, honestly. I guess that he had an incident where he died and he went to hell, or like they didn't take him and he was returned, and all that. And I was just like, that's where I have like the issues, and then that's the biggest like con of this movie is like the story and the pacing.
And I think that to play onto that, a lot of it is knowing the character in general before the movie, because like this movie definitely presents itself like you already know John Constantine, you already know who this character is from DC Comics. A lot of people didn't. That's why this movie wasn't perceived all that well, except for like hardcore fans and like the comic book community, which really loves this movie, even though it's so different, like I said, than the actual comics. But I think that's just because Keanu is so fantastic. But yeah, I think that because average viewer wouldn't know who John Constantine is outside of this movie, the way it presents itself is kind of like you're expected to already know. You know what I mean? So, and they do try to give you a little bit like of insight of his past and how he's come to be what he is now. But I don't feel like this movie does, rewatching it, I don't feel like this movie does do a good enough job for an average viewer to get into it. Another thing I really like about this movie is a lot of the props and the action. The cross shotgun is awesome. During that one scene where he's just like pumping. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. There was a lot of good, like I said earlier, the cinematography was great in this movie. Like, there's a scene where the demons come, and just how they're portrayed and how they come in, you know, into the shots. Those parts are really good. And then there's that, I forgot what demon that was. It's kind of like a fly that he fights in the street. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the character. But the way that character was presented, like the visual effects of that were really cool. So the visual effects in this movie were pretty cool.
I like the visual effects a lot. The like transparency, smoky-ish effect on like the demons is really cool.
Like a bunch of like VFX stuff.
And this was early, this is like 2005, so it's in the stage of where Hollywood's using a lot of VFX right now, and so this is a movie that actually does a pretty good job with it. And I like another thing that I really, really love about this movie is Satan. I think that Satan's character is like awesome. Peter Stormare, he portrays the devil perfectly when he comes in at the end and just like fucks up Gabriel and then he is just like, he's getting barefoot, and I love the tar on his feet. I think that's so amazing. And he's just like, I want you, John. Like,
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And he's a really good actor. I remember him being in some Call of Duty commercials, like Black Ops commercials and stuff back in the day.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of films. And I mean, one of the most recent things that I know him from is one of the like Dark Pictures games. I don't think it was the Dark Pictures. I think it was Until Dawn, maybe. Yeah, it was one of those types of games, the super massive games. But that's where I most recently had recognized him. But he has been in tons of things. He was in the Lost World, Jurassic Park. He was what was his name? Was it? I forget his name, but he dies. but he was in that movie, and I think that he has such a presence to him that is so creepy. So I love that he played a version of Satan that I absolutely loved to see, and I also loved like when he reaches inside like Keanu's chest, like and pulls out his cancer at the end. So
Yeah, that was another
yeah,
the effect that was cool.
yeah, it's really good stuff. So, um, Constantine is fantastic. Highly recommend it. Please watch this movie. If I were to give this movie a rating on a personal scale, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really, really love this movie and it resonates with me a lot. Critically, I think this movie is somewhere around a 3 and a 3.5. What would you give this movie?
This movie was good, but I'm gonna give it a 3.
Mhm.
That's just maybe I'm not so passionate about the DC universe and this character. Maybe my knowledge of this character, I don't have that much knowledge about the universe and this character alone. What really shines for me in this movie is the VFX are really good, and Keanu's acting is good. But other than that, the pacing issues, the jumping around, I mean, that's just that's just my personal opinion. But
That's fair.
yeah, so it's a 3 out of 5 for me.
Cool. All right, so let's do some fun facts before we end our episode today. Fun fact time. Just pulling up the trivia. Let's go. So Keanu Reeves bought the Holy Shotgun prop and gave it to director Francis Lawrence as a gift.
That's cool.
Let's see. The Spear of Destiny prop is the same one used in Hellboy in 2004.
Nice.
That's awesome. The Look of Hell was based on an old footage of nuclear tests, specifically the sudden shockwave immediately after the blast and disintegrated anything in its path, hence the crumbling landscape.
Yeah, that would explain kind of how that looks.
Okay. At around 40 minutes, according to the director's commentary on the DVD, the rag that Constantine lights on fire to defeat the flying demons is a piece of Moses' shroud given to him by B-Man.
That's cool.
At around an hour and 2 minutes, Constantine's line, in which he says that he doesn't want Angela to be another ghost following him around, is a reference to the comics, where he is haunted by the ghosts of friends who have died because of him. Okay. The character of John Constantine was originally created by Alan Moore, who is a very famous DC artist, during his run on DC Comics' Swamp Thing. However, following his negative experience From Hell in the movie in 2001 and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in 2003, Moore decided to reject all money and credit from Hollywood on any adaptations of his work. Thus, he gave all the money he would have gotten to the artist who drew the character with him and rejected his own created by credit from the film.
That's pretty cool.
That is really awesome. The holy hand grenades were actually Christmas ornaments filled with water. Yes. Let's see. The Spear of Destiny is also known as the Spear of Longingness. It was the name of the centurion who used the spear to pierce Christ's side during the crucifixion.
Interesting.
Just getting into the Catholicism lore. The lighter Constantine uses during the movie was created as a real lighter by Zippo lighter company, depicting Saint Benedict around the case. It's cool for Zippo. And then let's do one more. The original script had hell depicted as a black void with a floor covered in oil, which kind of like, we see the tar on Satan's feet, so I can see that that's where they kind of like
That's where they were going with that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the fun facts. There's tons of more online if you want to go look them up. We usually like try and get most of our information from trusted websites like IMDb and such. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe, like I said before. And we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow in the next episode.